To achieve net zero by 2050, Asia has to shutter at least 2 coal-fired power plants each week from now to 2040. Yet, it will be extremely expensive to wind down the region's relatively young coal fleet and replace them with clean energy, focusing on solar and battery storage. To offset some of these costs, Singapore's central bank is mooting a novel class of carbon credits known as transition credits.
Such transition credits, if they can be made to work, can potentially enable a broader, market-driven financing mechanism to help crowd in private capital.
Last year, 2 Philippine coal plants were chosen to pilot the new financing mechanism, including the South Luzon Thermal Energy Corporation, or SLTEC, which has been operating in the coastal town of Puting Bato West for almost 10 years.
We're now here in Barangay Puting Bato, a community right beside the SLTEC coal plant that you can see behind me. About a decade ago, it used to be a sprawling beachfront for tourism. But since then, it's been overtaken by not just the coal plant, but delivery of LNG and petroleum products, since it is also a port. We've spoke to some residents here and they have no idea about the plans for decommissioning of the coal plant, and neither do they know really what kind of impact it would have in their lives.
The transaction, if successful, would replace the decommissioned coal plant with renewables and battery storage by 2030, a decade earlier than promised. ASEAN has stressed that it will ensure a just transition for workers and local communities affected by the plant's early closure, though for now, community members of Puting Bato West say they don't yet have clarity of ASEAN's plans. Here is how the transition credits will work. In 2022, under an energy transition mechanism, ASEAN, which previously was the owner of SLTEC, had to first convince investors to put money in the coal facility with the intention of retiring it earlier than its technical operating life. The transaction went through after it managed to secure low-cost financiers, cutting short SLTEC's technical life by 15 years, according to estimates. ASEAN then divested the plant, but retained an option to buy back all its shares as early as 2030. The remaining proceeds, after accounting for debt refinancing and transaction fees, would then be reinvested into renewables to replace the coal output. To activate the use of transition credits, ASEAN will first have to exercise the option to buy back the plant. It will then be able to issue transition credits to sell to countries like Singapore and corporations. The use of proceeds will then go to compensating investors, integrate battery storage into the renewable system, ensure a just transition, and permanently retire the plant. It stands to potentially get $570 million worth of fresh capital from the sales of the credits, assuming that these are sold at $30 per ton, the minimum price that a Singapore-based carbon exchange estimates would be needed to ensure a just transition. To scale the model, ASEAN announced in August that it has teamed up with Temasek-owned Gen Zero and Singaporean conglomerate Keppel. Singaporean central bank has been enthusiastic about leading the way in mobilizing capital and cross-border collaboration for Asia's transition. But the parties involved will have, as they have promised, to ensure the shift away from coal is just. Most residents are still not aware of the planned early closure and what these deals mean for them. The foregone loss in corporate tax revenues from SLTEC, currently one of Calacas' largest taxpayers, will have to be replaced, for example, in order to minimize the impact of the plant's early closure on local communities. Jobs are a core concern too. In the past decade, residents of Puting Bato West have failed to benefit from the coal plant's operations, as key positions were offered to people coming from larger cities like Batangas City and Metro Manila. Will locals miss out on the opportunities once again amid the clean energy shift?